Colson Communications presents the 12th Annual Popular Hot Rodding Championship from US 131 Dragway in Martin, Michigan. Brought to you by Axle, the quality leader in automotive ignition components, where high performance means high mileage on the street as well as high performance on the racetrack. No matter where you drive, depend on Axle. King's Hawaiian bread, the favorite of the islands, made from natural ingredients without preservatives. Good taste, natural freshness, outstanding nutritional value, all in King's Hawaiian bread. Hurst Shifters, the shifters that auto enthusiasts have depended on for years. Any kind of car you drive, straight or strip, stick or automatic, Hurst Shifters are the shortest distance between two gears. Quaker State Motor Oil, America's best-selling motor oil. Refined from pure Pennsylvania crude, competition tested, Quaker State will give you the best possible lubrication for your car. Sigerson Cams. Performance experts have known for years that the camshaft is the heart of an engine. Whether you need more horsepower or more gas mileage, Sigerson has a camshaft for your engine. Proven performers like baseball superstar Reggie Jackson rely on Axle for all of their automotive ignition needs. While on the road, Reggie relies on Axle coils, points, spark plugs, and spark plug wires to keep his vehicles running at peak performance. Reggie took a tip from the professional racers that depend on Axle's Traveling Technical Center. So take a tip from Reggie for all types of driving, street or strip, boulevard or backwoods. Depend on Axle.
Located halfway between Kalamazoo and Grand Rapids, Michigan, near the town of Martin, Michigan. Hello, everybody. I'm Dave McClelland, and this is the 12th Annual Popular Hot Rodding Championships. We'll be taking a look at the exciting world of championship drag racing, featuring Top Fuel Eliminator, the fabulous nitro-burning funny cars under the lights in nighttime racing, Pro Stock, Pro Comp, and the final rounds of each of the Sportsman categories of competition. Let's take a look now at the excitement of championship drag racing.
Drag racing, an American innovation of the late 1940s, has become when you drop a fiberglass passenger car body on them. And instantly, you have a 240-mile-per-hour car, just like, well, almost like the one parked in your driveway. Elapsed times for all of these categories are measured over an exact quarter-mile distance, while speeds are measured separately by a speed trap extending 66 feet on both sides of the finish line. Each lane is individually timed, and speeds are determined at the finish line. Therefore, it is possible for a driver to gain a starting line advantage and win a race with a slower elapsed time. Since speed is measured only at the finish line, the highest mile-per-hour reading does not indicate the winning time. A sophisticated electronic starting and timing system assures that each driver will have an equal opportunity to start his or her race exactly on the green light. Winners are determined on a standard eliminations ladder with positions determined by qualifying times. Let's take a closer look at all the things that happen in a quarter-mile drag race. Warming the soft racing tires to the point that they stick like glue is the first step. While the stock and sportsman classes are required to stay behind the starting line for this step, the fuel dragsters and funny cars are allowed to continue across the starting line to lay down a track of hot rubber adhered to the pavement. They are very careful to align themselves exactly in this track for maximum traction. Very often, a number of test starts are made behind the starting line to be sure that engine, clutch, tires, and track are all working together to give the cars their rocket-like launch off the starting line, a launch that often exceeds 2 Gs of force. Once the driver is satisfied that everything is ready for the race, the car is brought to the starting line. A pre-stage bulb alerts the driver when he is within inches of the starting line. Next, the car eases into the starting beam. At this point, the car is approximately 8 inches of forward roll before leaving the beam. If the car leaves this beam before the green light, a foul start will be indicated by a red light on the Christmas tree starting system. In sportsman classes, the Christmas tree will light 5 amber lights in half-second intervals to allow the driver to prepare for the green. For handicap starts, the starting system can give one lane a measured advantage, normally based on the difference in national record between the two competitors. In the professional categories, there are no handicaps, so only the last amber and the green starting light are used. Driver reflexes are very critical on the starting line, since races are often won or lost by hundredths and even thousandths of a second. Once underway, drivers must contend with the possibility of the front end raising ever-popular nitromethane-fueled AA funny cars. The number 1 spot is nailed down by Tom Hoover of Minneapolis in the Showtime Corvette. Shown here running with Len Imbrogno. Hoover's time, 6.07 seconds at a speed of 225 miles an hour. In a dramatic last-ditch effort, Gary Bergen of Stanton, California, drops into the number 2 spot with a blistering 6.15 second elapsed time, 235 miles an hour. Number 3 position is established by Ron Colson in the King's Hawaiian-bred Corvette with an elapsed time of 6.17 seconds at a speed of 235 miles an hour. Roy Harris of Drexel Hills, Pennsylvania, lands the number 4 position in the Budman Arrow. Running opposite Al Berkler, Harris turns 6.26 seconds at 228 miles an hour. 5th slot in eliminations is secured by the Fighting Irish team from Jackson, Michigan. Dick Rosberg drives the entry to an elapsed time of 6.27 seconds at a speed of 220. Stan Bowman of Canton, Ohio, in the Ohio State Patrol Camaro fills the number 6 spot with an elapsed time of 6.30 seconds at a speed of 205 miles an hour. Californian Bob Pickett's U.S. Marines entry in his qualifying attempt with Dick Rosberg nabs the number 7 spot with an elapsed time of 6.31 seconds at a speed of 205 miles per hour. Running opposite Paul Smith, Tom Mottry qualified in the number 8 slot. But a parachute failure places him upside down in the safety sand trap at the end of the track. His 6.32 second run proved useless, as he was unable to make the 8 o'clock elimination call. Fortunately, Mottry was unhurt in the incident. This allowed Texan Billy Meyer to come into the field with a 6.36 second, 218 mile an hour qualifying run in the Hawaiian Tropic Citation. The non-qualifiers for this field include leading drivers like Mike Dunn at 6.36 seconds, Paul Smith at 6.37 seconds, John Pott in the Mr. Norm entry at 6.41 seconds, Len Imbrogno Centurion at 6.50 seconds, Doc Halliday in the Telstar at 6.54 seconds, Frank Hawley in the Chi-Town Hustler at 6.56 seconds, Frank Oglesby's Mellow Yellow at a troubled 11.44 seconds, and Al Berkler's Motown Shaker Corvette. We'll be back to the 12th Annual Popular Hot Rodding Championships in just a moment. Hawaii can't send you its warm sunshine and soft breezes, but it can send you its famous King's Hawaiian bread. King's Hawaiian bread, a taste favorite from the beautiful islands that gave it its name. Made from natural ingredients with long-lasting freshness, preservative-free. So good you'll love it plain, covered with peanut butter or Hawaiian French toast. Any way you like bread, you'll love King's Hawaiian bread.
The most popular car in all of championship drag racing is a funny car, and that's a bit of a misnomer. It's not really very funny because it is a 245-mile-an-hour fiberglass replica of a modern late-model automobile with some 2,000 horsepower to power it through the quarter mile in a lapse time under 6 seconds. Here is a fiberglass replica of a Chevy Corvette. Sits very low in the front. How do you get in the car, you say? There's no doors. Well, you actually just raise the body. You put a stand under the front of it, and the driver crawls into the cockpit. Let's take a close look. In the cockpit itself, the driver sits encased in a roll cage. He is wearing a fireproof suit and is strapped into the car with a 5-point safety belt system. Moving forward, there's a planetary transmission. It's got 2 forward gears, 1 reverse, and then you come to the power plant that produces over 2,000 horsepower. Utilizing nitromethane for fuel, blended with alcohol, the car thunders the ground as it covers the speed traps at over 245 miles an hour. To the front of the car, the fuel system and the all-important fire extinguishing system that is an onboard firefighting unit that allows the driver to push a button in case the engine should explode and put the fire out. So there you have it, a funny car.
And now, back to the track for the Saturday night funny car eliminations. Eliminations open with Stan Bowman in the left lane versus Gary Bergen in the right lane. As Bowman encounters handling problems, Gary Bergen speeds to a 6.42-second, 222-mile-an-hour victory. The second pairing puts number 1 qualifier Tom Hoover in the right lane against Dick Rosberg in the left. After the tire-warming smoky burnouts, both cars are backed up in the tire tracks of their burnouts. Both cars charge from the line in an even start. Rosberg loses traction as Hoover speeds to a 6.25-second, 225-mile-an-hour win. The third pairing found Ron Colson on the right, facing Bob Pickett, here backing into his burnout tracks in the left lane. Both drivers test throttle response and traction as they approach the starting line. Pickett lights the pre-stage bulb at the top of the starting system, followed by Colson. Pickett moves into the staging light with Colson right behind. In the closest race of the evening, Colson wins with a 300th of a second advantage at 6.22 seconds. In the final pairing of the first round, Roy Harris in the right lane faces Billy Meyer on the left. Both cars approach the starting line, belching nitromethane flames from their exhaust headers. Meyer goes on to win with a fine 6.12-second elapsed time to post the best time of round 1.
We're in the pit with Billy Meyer, and he just established low elapsed time of the first round of racing. And Billy, it's been a rather hard weekend for you. You started off qualifying, and your first run was the best for several, and then finally you got it all together. What makes the difference between a first run and one like you just laid down?
We broke a lot of parts in some of those other qualifying runs, and we were doing a little bit of testing. We didn't mean to test that long. And the last 2 runs we made, we were trying to run good, and we just broke both times.
Well, you came into the program as an alternate. In fact, you were the number 9 qualifier and made it into the show by virtue of the fella in the number 8 spot breaking and letting you in, and then you laid down that fine 6.12. Is the car broken again? I noticed a lot of work going on. What's happening right now?
No, that's just our normal, between round maintenance. We looked at about 4 pistons, put it back together, and now we're ready to go.
What do you think the car is capable of running here? As the atmosphere probably will be improving as it gets later in the night. Do you think you can run in the 6.0s?
The 6.0s are no problem, but we're not going to try to just because of the weather and stuff. We're just going to try to stay consistent.
Billy, our best wishes go with you, and we look forward to seeing you here in round number 2 in just a minute.
Thanks, Dave.
We're in the pits of the Showtime Corvette of Tom Hoover as the qualifying continues here under the lights for The big racing coming up tomorrow, but tonight it's funny car eliminations, your low qualifier at a 6:07. You didn't run quite that good in the first round. Did you expect to better your 6:07? What was your plan?
The game plan was just kind of pull it back a little bit and not smoke the tires and win the first round and then get after it. Later on this afternoon, it was hotter here. The track was balling up and the cars were smoking the tires. I was scared of doing that, so I took some power out. Plus, the humidity tonight is pretty bad. We're going to hop it up now. I'll be back on.
What kind of times do you anticipate under the lights tonight? Here, we'll let these two get out of the way. What do you think you can run if the track stays good as far as traction goes?
I know everybody's hoping for a 5, but realistically, the smarter guys are going to look at what's out there and kind of pull it back and just run as hard as you can to win. I think right now, if I can run a 6:15 this next run, that's what I'm shooting at.
We were in the pits of Billy Meyer a minute ago, and a lot of frantic action going on over there. He said he was doing some preventive maintenance on the motor, checking inside. Looks kind of vacant underneath the body of the Showtime Corvette.
Well, we have got a terrific new combination here the last couple of weeks, and it's been running very well. Hopefully I won't have to do anything serious.
I've known you, Tom, since you were back driving Top Fuel dragsters, and I've never seen you as loose and as confident as you are at this race.
Maybe it's just 18 years, an old age setting in. I'm not that up, but I'm ready.
Okay, Tom Hoover, the Showtime Corvette, the AMSOIL Special.
Round 2 opens with number 3 qualifier Ron Colson in the right lane against number 1 qualifier Tom Hoover, being directed into his burnout tracks by a crewman. Both cars look strong as they test traction approaching the starting line. Hoover encounters handling problems as Colson posts lower lapse time of eliminations at 6.10 seconds.
Ron Colson, you had an easy pass as Tom Hoover got crossed up right off the starting line. That put you in the finals here at the Popular Hot Rodding Championship.
Yeah, well, we expected it to be a tough one, so we made a good hard run. Like Roland said, we've been dialing the car in. It felt better that run. It came down through there without any serious tire shake, and I think we're ready to go in the final, and we're ready to win this one.
Well, you've been working awful hard at it, and of course the car has been running exceptionally well. You had some problems at Englishtown with the Omni body that just literally disintegrated before your very eyes, and you come right back with this Corvette. That was a rather harrowing experience, I'd imagine.
Well, it's I don't know if you can tell, but a lot of the paint's gone off the front of the helmet. It was a harrowing experience. We brought this body out, repainted it from last year, put it in operation, ran 6:17 at this track a week later, so we mean to stay in competition like that.
Well, you got work to do, so head back to the pits and get ready for the finals.
Thanks, Dave.
The second round wraps up with Billy Meyer in the right lane against Gary Bergen in the left. This race will determine who will face Ron Colson in the final. Something appears to be wrong as Billy Meyer remains down track, unable to back up. Bergen backs up in his tracks, but is directed to shut down by starting line officials. Crewmen come to aid the disabled race car as a frustrated Billy Meyer climbs out of the escape hatch, indicating that his car is unable to compete. After the track is cleared, Gary Bergen reheats his tires and goes on to earn a berth in the final with a fine 6.31 second, 238 mile per hour single. Now Dave McClelland is down track with semifinal winner Gary Bergen.
The Orange Baron, Gary Bergen out of Stanton, California, in the finals here at the Popular Hot Rodding Championships. His funny car spitting and steaming here at the shutdown area, and Gary coming out of his fire protective gear in his helmet. And Gary, they say drag racing's a lot of luck, and you kind of had a break that time.
Yeah. Well, I think we ran pretty good. Yeah, we did have a break as it was a single, and since he couldn't get his vehicle off of the track, and we went ahead and restarted and then made the run.
I got to ask you, a lot of drivers say luck really doesn't enter into drag racing, but what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think luck's about 30-40% of it. You know, luck's a good portion of it.
Well, you used up most of it right then, didn't you?
I did.
Okay. You have any special plans for the finals? I know your crew's getting ready to go. You got any plans to try to hop it up?
In the recent history, in the last 4 or 5 years, the only two people that have ever won this race is Pernod most of the time and me in 77. So let's hope that we do it again.
A repeat for 1980 for Gary Bergen. The Orange Baron out of Stanton, California. The crew already turning the motor over, checking everything to make sure it's all okay right down here in the turnaround area. And, of course, a lot of maintenance will be pulled on the car as they head back into the pits to get ready for the finals against the King's Hawaiian Bread Special, Ron Colson, the driver.
We'll be back to the 12th Annual Popular Hot Rodding Championships in just a moment.
Does Quaker State really help cars last? Over 100,000 miles and still running fine on Quaker State.
8,000 miles already, but I'm taking good care of it. And a big part of that is using Quaker State motor oil.
180,000 miles between my Saab and my Fiat.
More than 26 million cars, big and small, are running on Quaker State. It's America's #1 selling motor oil. Quaker State helps cars last.
When you find something good, you should stick with it.
Billy Meyer, we're clear down almost over 3/4 of a mile away from the starting line, and all we know is that you were pulled through the track with your push truck. What's the problem?
We broke a reverser on the burnout. Couldn't back up. Same thing we did at Columbus.
I was going to say, this is a replay almost of the Columbus situation where you couldn't back up, and the rules say you can't drive over the center line and drive back to the starting line, which you did at Columbus. Quite a show, I must point out. But still, all in all, the end result is you're out of this show, and I'm sure that doesn't make you very happy.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't help our chances at all on the World Championship chase. So.
You were working in the #2 spot right now on the World Championship Series, and I don't know, you've got the option of waiving the points. Are you going to take them here or waive them? You've still got a little while to think about it.
There's not too many points races left. There's only 2 more points races left here in
Medford, Oregon, I believe. Right.
And I have to be in Carolina the week after Medford, Oregon, so I probably will just go ahead and take these.
Okay. Hey, it's a tough break for a hard competitor. You had low elapsed time of eliminations at a 6:12, but at least you got those problems worked out, and then something else tends to go wrong.
That's racing, I guess.
Okay, Billy, thank you much, and a tough break. Billy Meyer, he had the low elapsed time of eliminations at a 6:12 in the Hawaiian Tropic Special, and a tough break as the reverser goes out on the run. He pulls it through with the push truck, but obviously a very disappointed and unhappy young man. Billy Meyer of Waco, Texas.
While Bergen and Colson prepare for the funny car final, the awesome aircraft engine jet dragsters get ready for an exhibition run. 50-foot trails of flame shoot from the afterburners as they're heated in preparation for one of the most spectacular sights in night racing. Tension builds as Tommy Ivo in the left lane and Mike Evans on the right edge toward the starting line. As the Christmas tree starting system goes through a full 5-light countdown, Evans's Earthquake jet dragster stages too deep and draws a red light foul start as Ivo goes on to win at over 250 miles per hour. The huge aircraft parachutes bring the jets to a safe stop while jet fuel smoke spews from the afterburners. After returning to the pits, Bergen's crew discovered a burned bearing in their engine, and they are now working feverishly to install a backup engine. Meanwhile, a relaxed Roland Leong talks to Dave McClellan.
Hawaii, and Roland, what are you doing under here?
I'm just kind of trying to get my motor cool for the next round.
What kind of operation do you go through between each round on one of these cars?
Well, we don't have very many pistons, so we don't have to do a major overhaul, what we call a major overhaul on them. But we adjust the valves, retorque the heads, put fuel, water, and oil in them, and take it back to the starting line and hope it runs better.
Why don't you hurt many parts? Some racers go out and they burn up everything every run, but you seem to have your combination together and have for quite some time.
Well, we've been working on it a long time, for the last 5 years, and we kind of had to bite our lip a little bit at times and not run as good as we thought we could or should and get beat. But it all worked out for the best, working on it that way and not hurting the piston.
The stage is now set for the funny car finals. The crowd comes to their feet as Ron Colson heats his tires. With a fresh engine installed, Gary Bergen appears to be ready for an all-out effort. Colson tests traction. As Bergen backs into the staging area. Judging from the large amounts of flames coming from Bergen's exhaust headers, he seems to be running a maximum load of nitromethane in his new engine. The tension becomes almost unbearable as crew chiefs Jim Duffy and Roland Leong position their drivers on the starting line. The cars inch into the electronic starting beams with Bergen's header flames growing even longer. Both cars leap from the starting line. Colson pulls away for the win at 6.20 seconds at 231 miles an hour, as Bergen trails at 6.44 seconds with a speed of 236 miles per hour. Let's go down track as Dave McClellan interviews the winner, Ron Colson.
The funny car champion of this 12th annual Popular Hot Rodding Championships is Ron Colson, driving the King's Hawaiian bred car of Roland Leong. And as Ron gets himself unstrapped, I'll tell him he turned in a lapse time of 6.20 seconds at over 230 miles an hour. And there was a bit of a psychological question as to which lane was the right one or the wrong one, but the car owner, Roland Leong, picked the right one for you, and it apparently worked out.
Well, it was a little touchy. When he told me go out there and just skirt it in the left and don't get out of the groove, and that gave me about a foot to spare on either side. We did drop a tire into it just a little bit, got a little loose through the mid-range while we dropped off from a 610 to a 620, but basically it was a nice straight run. The car performed like it was supposed to, and we got the money.
I guarantee you, Ron, you'd be happy if you ran a 22nd elapsed time as long as you got to the finish line first.
With a payday like that, I'll take it.
Ron, it's been quite a good meet for you, your consistent performance, and as we had talked with Roland earlier as he was working on the car, he said he spends a lot of time developing consistency and dependability in this, and it seems to have paid off.
Well, it's the car, as you know, from the Wentz World Championship Series, has been the most consistent car in the series for really the last 2 years, and that's what's won the races for us. Crew seems a little happy. I guess we'll go back to the pits and celebrate.
I noticed that the crew seems to get larger as each round of racing goes by, and it is just like it is in every final at a championship event. They're everywhere. So go receive the accolades of the crew and a great driving job for the King's Hawaiian bred car of Roland Leong, the Hawaiian himself. And Roland, come on in, and your car owner is quite happy, and so's Ron Colson. What did you say to him? Good job.
We'll be back to the 12th Annual Popular Hot Rodding Championships in just a moment.
Hi, y'all. I'm Linda Vaughn, Miss Hurst. As you know, we've got race cars out here today, and we got Hurst shifters in almost all of them, but we've got something for you. We have van shifters, we have pickup shifters, and the smaller generation shifters for your little cars. So go to your local Hurst authorized dealer and tell them Linda sent you.
One of the things that makes drag racing unique is the fact that it's an all-out sport. With just a quarter mile to race and an hour between races, drag racing mechanics often push their engines to such extremes of temperature and RPM that the inner workings of the engines are literally melting at the finish line. Drag racing mechanics are acclimated to long hours of maintenance work to keep these cars operating under such extreme conditions. After each day's racing, the cars are torn down and components of the engine, clutch, transmission, and rear end are disassembled, inspected, repaired, or replaced as necessary, and carefully reassembled for the next race day. Even when all components hold up well, there are a number of between-rounds chores that must be done. Nitromethane contamination of the oil necessitates an 11-quart oil change after each quarter-mile run. Engines are cooled by changing water in the block. Heads are retorqued, and valves must be adjusted. 10 gallons of nitromethane at $23 a gallon must be replenished in the fuel tank. Clutches are cooled. Adjustments are made to engines, clutches, gear ratios, and anything else that might gain a few hundredths of a second. There are parachutes to be packed, and a number of safety checks to be made. So even the easy times are very busy. Among the final eliminations to be held on Sunday will be the top fuel dragsters. With the exception of rigid safety requirements, these vehicles are totally unlimited, resulting in the lightest, most powerful, and consequently the fastest cars in drag racing. With the Funny Car Champion crowned on Saturday night, Sunday becomes the day for the top fuel dragsters in the pro stocks. For a closer look at the result of 30 years of mechanical evolution in quarter-mile acceleration, let's go to the pits with Dave McClellan.
The quickest and fastest accelerating cars in all of motorsports are Championship Drag Racing's top fuel dragster. A slender, low-slung machine of some 225 inches of wheelbase, starting in the front with a bicycle-type front tires, and then leading back into the roll cage and cockpit area where the driver sits. There are just rudimentary controls for the driver. There's a clutch pedal, a brake handle, a throttle, and, of course, parachute release. Sitting behind the driver is the 2,000 horsepower nitromethane burning racing engine that propels these cars to speeds over 255 miles an hour. At the very end of the car, behind the huge drag slicks, comes the parachute, and that's the most important thing of all. Getting one of these cars stopped using the disc brakes and the parachute in combination to bring them to a safe stop after a run of over 250 miles an hour.
Eliminations in Top Fuel open with Chris Karamessinas in the left lane versus Mark Oswald on the right. Oswald pulls to the side of the track with obvious mechanical problems. As Karamessinas backs toward the starting line, Oswald removes his safety belts and gets out of his car, indicating that his vehicle is unable to compete. A very disappointed Oswald walks away from his disabled race car and steps over the guardrail to clear the track. Karamessinas moves into round 2 with a fine single run of 6.06 seconds at 226 miles an hour. After the race, Mark Oswald's crew pushes their car back to the trailer for the long ride home. The next race places Californian Jeb Allen in the right lane against veteran Dick LaHaye on the left. LaHaye appears to have a slight edge, but Allen comes on very strong to win a close race with an ET of 6.01 seconds and a strong top-end charge of over 241 miles per hour. Before eliminations, Shirley Muldowney appeared relaxed as she signed autographs for several of the many fans that came to watch the 1977 Top Fuel World Champion compete. In a dramatic incident the day before, Shirley encountered severe tire shake during a qualifying run. The incredible vibrations caused the right rear wheel to break away from her dragster, sending it off the track and dangerously close to the guardrail. In a magnificent display of driving skill, Shirley was able to maintain enough control to keep the car out of the guardrail and finally back toward the track before the front wheels and steering system collapsed and the car slid to a stop back on the track. The safety crews were on the scene immediately as Shirley emerged shaken but uninjured and immediately put her crew to work to repair the damage. Back to Sunday, an understandably cautious Shirley Muldowney tests her recently repaired steering system, a result of that qualifying accident. Facing Shirley in the left lane is Wayne Ernst, carefully backing into his tire tracks. Crewmen make a last-minute check, and both drivers move toward the starting line. Ernst appears to have a slight advantage at the starting line, but a momentary loss of traction allows Shirley Muldowney to pull ahead for the victory at 6.05 seconds at 226 miles an hour. Ernst has obvious engine damage and appears to have braking problems as he approaches the turnaround too fast and goes into the sand trap. Racing action continues with Big Daddy Don Garland, one of the most famous and successful competitors in all of motorsports. Garland is credited with dozens of major innovations in the sport of drag racing. Facing Garland in the left lane is Bobby Hilton in the Virginia-based Jim and Allison Lee entry. The Christmas tree lights indicate that both cars are staged and ready to go. In a strong finish, Garlitz wins with a tremendous... The second pairing finds Joe Satmary of Hammond, Indiana in the Camaro against Andy Manarino in the Detroit-based Firebird. Satmary leads with the wheels in the air, but he is unable to stay ahead of Manarino's hard-charging 8.61 second ET at 155 miles an hour. We're now into the third pairing of Pro Stock eliminations. Just after the burnout, Sam Giannino's Camaro catches fire in the engine compartment. Quick action by crew members and track officials puts the fire out without serious damage, but Giannino is out of competition for the day. With Giannino's car still smoking in the background, Jim Canet from Stone Mountain, Georgia, earns a berth in the semifinals with an excellent 8.71 second, 153-mile-per-hour single run. Next pair puts Winston World Points leader Lee Shepard in the Rare and Morrison entry against perennial favorite Bill Grumpy Jenkins in the left lane. As they bring their engines up for an 8,000 RPM start, Shepard opens up a substantial lead and goes on to win with an 8.58-second ET and a speed of 153 miles per hour. All weekend, overcast skies threatened the event, and several times Sunday, competition was halted by showers. When the rains came, racers in the pits hurried to put their cars back into their trailers, while those already in the staging lanes covered their cars and sought a dry spot to wait out the shower. Each time, as soon as the shower stopped, the safety crews rolled out the track dryers to dry off and heat up the track surface for further competition. The track dryers, a recent innovation for drag racing safety crews, are actually aircraft jet engines with their 600-degree exhaust heat directed down at the track surface. The spectators were given an extra treat when the jet dragsters were brought out to help dry off the track. With this kind of serious effort from track officials and racers, the event was completed within a few hours of the original schedule. While the track drying equipment may be interesting from a technical point, the crowd showed far more interest in the race queens. Miss Hearst Linda Vaughn, a longtime favorite of racing fans, and the new Miss Winston, Tina Gale, who was attending her second major race, both took this opportunity to greet the crowd and provide a pleasant change in the scenery for the rain-dampened but still enthusiastic fans. We'll be back to the 12th Annual Popular Hot Rodding Championship in just a moment.
Hi, y'all. I'm Linda Vaughn, Miss Hearst. As you know, we've got race cars out here today, and we got Hearst shifters in almost all of them, but we've got something for you. We have van shifters, we have pickup shifters, and the smaller generation shifters for your little cars. So go to your local Hearst authorized dealer and tell them Linda sent you.
And now back to the eliminations with Top Fuel semifinals opening with a classic confrontation between Big Daddy Don Garlitz in the right lane and Chicagoan Chris Karamessinas on the left. Although Garlitz is off his previous 5.94 pace, he is able to defeat a tire-smoking Karamessinas with an ET of 6.34 seconds at 238 miles an hour. Karamessinas trails with a 6.48 second, 227 mile per hour time. Now let's join Dave McClellan down track as he talks to Don Garlitz.
Big Daddy Don Garlitz in the finals of this popular hot rodding championship. I think this is probably the fourth time that you've made it to the finals, and the car performing exceptionally well now.
Just running real good, Dave.
Yeah, have you done anything different overnight? I know you got some rest, and Herb Parks was out here scouting the track last night while the funny cars were racing. Have you done anything different to change it around? But you've gotten some great time.
34, really smoking. What did Dave?
He run a 40.
My goodness.
It's terrible. We got to either change these or get in there.
Yeah.
So it looks like you got some work cut out for you.
Okay, see you later.
We'll see you in the pits. Don Garlitz in the finals as he defeats Chris Karamessinas, and not at all happy with a 6:34 elapsed time for the big Kendall car of Don Garlitz from Seffner, Florida. And that means one thing. It's time for Big Daddy and Herb to go to work as they head down back to the pit area.
Closing out the semifinals is Jeb Allen on the right and Shirley Muldowney in the left lane. Comparing their first round times, both cars ran within 0.04 of a second, with Shirley's ET at 6.05 seconds and Jeb Allen at a quicker 6.01 seconds elapsed time. Leaving the line, Shirley opens up an early advantage and goes on to win with a stunning 5.95 second ET.
Shirley Muldowney is the story of this Top Fuel Eliminator category for this popular hot rodding race. She had the misfortune yesterday of having a malfunction in the right rear wheel. The car ran off the course during qualifying. A lot of hard work overnight and a lot of help from her friends have put her back on the course. And right now, Shirley Muldowney heads into the finals for the second year in a row at this popular hot rodding championship. If you should win the race, Shirley, you'll be the first one to ever repeat 2 years in a row, right?
I didn't know that.
Here's Jeb Allen, the man you just defeated.
Dave, thanks.
We're there.
Thanks, Dave.
Shirley, you have had a lot of hard work. Ron Tobler and your son, John Muldowney, your crew have done a masterful job in putting this car back together. I don't have any idea as they come up. John, what was the time? 595, and you are really favored going into this final against Big.
Yeah, I like it. Good. That's a good one to have in the final. Let's see. Let's hope we take it home to Mount Clemens.
You've had a lot of luck here in the past few months against Don Garlitz. I know it has been, that's the man that you really like to beat, and you've had an exceptionally good string against him in the past couple of months.
Everybody has their fair share of luck, but the car has flat run good this year, and we flat got by him a lot of times that people don't know about in smaller races. But he's good, but we're good too, and that's what it takes. Make a good drag race.
You certainly are, and right now you're proving you're one of the best by the 595 here in the semifinals. You've got work to do, and our congratulations to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dave.
Okay, Shirley Muldowney and her crew head back to the pits. It'll be Don Garlitz and Shirley in the finals of Top Fuel Eliminator here at the Popular Hot Rodding Championship.
Pro Stock semifinals opened with Jim Canette's Volare warming his tires and testing traction in the left lane as Andy Manarino's Firebird approaches the starting line on the right. Both cars leap from the starting line, and Canette goes into the final with a winning 8.74-second ET at 153 miles per hour. Pro Stock semifinal action closes with a confrontation between the season's two strongest competitors, Bob Glidden's Fairmont on the right and Lee Shepard in the Rare and Morrison Camaro entry in the left lane. The crowd comes to their feet as both cars approach the starting beam. Glidden stages first as Shepard slowly approaches. Both cars lead, with Shepard appearing to have a slight advantage. In the mid-range, both cars are together, but Shepard seems to encounter mechanical difficulty, and Glidden goes on for the win with an 8.53-second elapsed time and a speed of 158 miles an hour. Semifinals in Pro Comp, cars much like the nitro-fueled dragsters and funny cars, but restricted to alcohol fuel, opens with Don Gerardo in the right lane and Fred Mandolini on the left. Gerardo opens up an early lead and goes into the final with a 6.65-second ET at 205 miles per hour. Pro Comp semifinals closed with Don Nimmo in the Baines & Baines dragster against Bob Gottschalk's Citation funny car. Nimmo's dragster obviously has serious problems, as smoke is billowing from the left bank of his engine. Nimmo quickly stages first, hoping to rush Gottschalk into making a mistake. Both cars leave the line together, but the ailing dragster quickly falls behind, and Gottschalk sets low elapsed time of the event with an outstanding 6.63-second run. Before we return to the professional finals with Don Garlitz versus Shirley Muldowney and Bob Glidden versus Jim Canette, let's take a look at the winning runs in the Sportsman categories. In Stock Eliminator, cars much like you and your neighbors drive, Pam Sanders of Evansville, Indiana, in a Volare on the left, faces John Lambrexty of Allendale, Michigan, in a Camaro in the right lane. These cars will use a handicap start on the electronic Christmas tree starting system. This means that the slower class car will receive a head start equal to the difference in the national record of the two categories. This allows cars of many different classes to race equally within one eliminator bracket. Lambrexty stages as Pam Sanders stages very slowly. Lambrexty fouls at the starting line, and Pam Sanders goes on for the automatic win with a 12.76-second ET at 104 miles an hour. In Superstock Eliminator, Bill Haynes Chevrolet breaks out as Bill Weekley's Coronet goes on in the near lane for the win in 10.29 seconds at 128 miles per hour. In Modified Eliminator, Canadian Alan Harsh's Corvette in the left lane defeats Lloyd Wooford's Monza with a run of 9.58 seconds at over 140 miles an hour. In a close Pro Gas final, Phil Rudeboat in the near lane is declared the winner over Jim Eskridge in the far lane with a winning 10.21 ET. In Competition Eliminator, Dick Hickernell's dragster on the left faces Joe Williamson's Roadster in the right lane. In an exceptionally close run, Williamson wins in 8.59 seconds at 150 miles an hour. In the Pro Comp final, Bob Gottschalk of Oregon, Ohio in the Citation racing in the right lane faces the Mustang of Don Gerardo of Monroeville, Indiana on the left. At this point, Chock, who set low elapsed time of the event for Pro Comp at 6.63 seconds, would seem to be the favorite. Gerardo grabs a starting line advantage and goes on to win Pro Comp Eliminator in 6.68 seconds at 207 miles per hour. In the professional finals, we find Jim Cadet on the left, facing last year's world champion Bob Glidden in the right lane. Both cars leave the line together, and Glidden goes on to record a winning run of 8.58 seconds at 151 miles per hour. Glidden's run wasn't as easy as it appeared, as you will see in this view from our down-track camera. Notice Glidden's car move to the left, then dart toward the outside guardrail before he finally brings it under control. Dave McClelland is waiting at the turnaround to talk to Bob.
The champion of Pro Stock Eliminator at the 12th Annual Popular Hot Rodding Championships, carrying the big number 1 in the world and also number 1 here at Martin, Michigan, is Bob Glidden. Bob waving a sign to Jim Cadet, his competition. Bob, you've had a rather hectic weekend.
It's been a rough week. We've all traveled a lot of miles, and it's been a long week.
Just to tell the fans a little bit about it, you started off here qualifying on Friday. In fact, last week you were up in Montreal, Canada. The race got rained out. Came back down here, qualified Friday for the number 1 spot. You picked up a special award for that. Then you went back to Canada, right? How many miles did you travel all told this weekend?
Well, let's see. It's about 800 miles one way. So we qualified Friday night, went 800 miles up, ran the race, and came back last night.
Well, yesterday it was runner-up for you. Today it's winner, and I think you like this a little better, right?
Oh, it's great. Anytime you win, it's worth all the miles, all the hard work, and whatever it takes.
Our congratulations to you, Bob Glidden, Pro Stock champion.
Thank you, Dave.
Now the grand finale of the 12th Annual Popular Hot Rodding Championships, featuring Shirley Muldowney of Mount Clemens, Michigan, the only woman licensed to drive a top fuel dragster. Not merely content to be the fastest woman in the sport, Shirley won the World Championship in 1977. Facing Shirley is Big Daddy Don Garlett of Seffner, Florida. Garlett is a legend in drag racing, with career earnings of millions of dollars and titles from virtually every major race. Garlett is a favorite wherever he goes. Both cars move to the starting area with Garlett on your left and Muldowney on your right. In this race, Shirley is considered to have an advantage, having recorded an elapsed time of 5.95 seconds in the previous round. Garlett's a cagey veteran, will have to hope that his tuning adjustments have been correct, since his last run was almost 0.4 of a second slower than Muldowney's. As both cars back toward the starting area, the crowd can sense the pressure that is building on both drivers. This is a race that would be a headliner at any drag strip in the country. The liberated woman against the grand old man of the sport. Shirley Muldowney and Don Garlett are moving into position for the all-important final race of the Popular Hot Rodding Championships. The most successful female racer and the drag racing legend stage for the final race of the event. Both cars appear to leave the line together, but Shirley gets there first with an ET of 5.96 seconds as both scoreboards show identical elapsed times. Control tower electronic readouts indicate that Shirley was actually 1/1000th of a second slower, but a slight starting line advantage got her to the finish line first. At the turnaround, Dave McClelland talks to a victorious Shirley Muldowney.
A rather hectic weekend. We'll wait till you get your helmet off. It's a little tough to talk.
I couldn't see where I was going.
Said it's all fogged up. The humidity here with all the rain and everything else has been something tough. And, of course, you and your crew, the story is just incredible, from the situation with the qualifying session of yesterday with the broken wheel, with every problem that you could think of. But today, you're the repeat champion.
Wow.
596s a pair?
I felt it. I felt it.
What you're hearing here is the conversation that goes on between the crew and the driver after every run, discussing what is and what is not right about the engine.
Yeah, well, usually when we get back to the pits, Dave, they're so busy I don't get a chance to talk to them. So we try to get everything said down here when it's fresh in my mind. Mm-hmm. And then we don't forget anything. I think I was a little better on the light.
Were you happy with the run?
Oh, yeah. I felt it go away a little bit about three-quarter track, but it just kept on pulling. And I said, well, here we go. I think we're on the way home.
Well, you are the first time ever in 12 years of the Popular Hot Rodding Championship to be the repeat Top Fuel champion. There are people who, like Don, who has won it 3 times before, but you're the only person ever to repeat back-to-back.
I'll be darned. Well, you know, we have 3 national events, NHRA style, back-to-back, which I think is still a record, but this is where I ran my first 5. And it is an incredible racetrack as far as traction and facility and safety. Well, we proved that yesterday.
Right.
The safety people here are great. We're happy. Now we've got to go home put some Band-Aids on the front end.
Okay, Shirley Muldowney, she won it all, the Top Fuel champion at the PHR race. Thank you.
With over 40,000 fans in attendance and $227,600 in prize money distributed to the racers, the 12th annual Popular Hot Rodding Championships have been a rousing success. Let's go to Dave McClellan for a final recap.
This was one of those weekends in championship drag racing. The event, the Popular Hot Rodding Championship, kicked off on Friday. Intermittent showers continued throughout the entire weekend, and then on Sunday, we had to shut down several times because of the rain and then dry the track. But as often happens, when the last race car goes down the track, the sun pops out. That's just what happened here at Martin US 131. The big story of this event, Shirley Muldowney crashing her car on Saturday with a lot of help from her friends and a lot of hard work by her crew. She won in a Cinderella finish over Big Daddy Don Garlett's the Top Fuel title to become the first person ever to win 2 Top Fuel titles in a row at a PHR championship. Funny car Ron Colson under the lights with the King's Hawaiian Bread special of Roland Leong taking the measure in the funny car eliminator category. In Pro Stock, it is Bob Glidden, your champion here at Martin US 131. This is Dave McClellan saying so long for now.
The 12th annual Popular Hot Rodding Championships has been brought to you by Axel, the quality leader in automotive ignition components. King's Hawaiian Bread, the favorite of the island. Hurst Shifters, the shifters that auto enthusiasts have depended on for years. Quaker State Motor Oil, America's best-selling motor oil. And Sig Urson Cams. Sig Urson has a camshaft for your engine.